Thank you for joining us. This is the January 24th, 2013 meeting of the East Fishkill Town Board. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Before we begin, I have a few announcements. The first announcement I'd like to say is recently the fire district had a truck for sale. It's a truck with a plow out in front of the fire training center. I think it's out there for like the past week. And our highway superintendent drove by, and obviously lots of times Dennis is in need of a vehicle and had a plow. So he asked the fire commissioners how much they were asking for it. Fire commissioners met last night, and they turned it over to the town of East Fishkill for $1. It was very nice of them. I don't know what they could. It was a very nice looking truck. I don't know what they could have gotten for it, but I just have to say that this is just shows what a great relationship we have with our fire commissioners, our fire departments, and I just want to thank them. It's a really, really good thing, and you know we always try to work out, help each other. I just want to tell them how much I appreciate it. We appreciated that. And speaking of that, today also I got the statistics for last year on the fire calls, and there was a breakdown. I'll discuss it further at the next meeting. But again, with our volunteer fire department and our fire commissioners, wow, the amount of calls, rescues, fire, non-fire, emergencies, it's just phenomenal what our volunteers do. So I'd have to thank our fire commissioners, our fire departments, and all of our volunteers of the fire department, first responders, because you really do a great job, and it's really wonderful to work with these people. They're terrific. I do have some bad news. A while back, we had applied for a grant for Hillside Lake. Actually, it was the second time we applied for this grant. We applied for it, I guess about a year and a half ago, and we were denied for it. It's for a stormwater project to update the stormwater system on the roads around Hillside Lake and discharge into the lake to make it more eco-friendly or more green. We have a schedule where we actually do the catch basin cleaning. A lot of these basins have been in for years and years and years, but we do have a maintenance schedule, so we do keep up on them pretty well. But we thought we'd get some grant money from the federal government to help us along putting in new basins and a new technology to make it even more efficient. Unfortunately, after a lot of effort, meeting with DC, meeting with Senator Salan, getting a sign-off and approvals and support of a lot of people, we were yet again turned down. So it's very disappointing. I met with our engineering staff, and we're talking about what are we going to do now. We're going to have to just take a step back and look at the situation again. Our grant writer would like to try yet again, but I'm not really sure where we're going to go with that. I mean, we've given them 3 grants, and we haven't had any luck so far, but we are taking a look at the situation. But I did want to announce that we're sorry we did not get that grant. We're a little bit sad to hear that. The last thing I would like to discuss tonight, and Peter, I'd have to talk a little bit about you and the Knights of Columbus. Julie's Jungle, and this is not a town-sponsored organization. This is an organization separate from the town that wants to do a playground for all children, special needs children, all children of all abilities, as they say, to play together. And they've been trying to raise money. It's a great, Julie's Jungle is the organization. It's a great project, and they've been doing fundraisers. And this last Sunday, Peter, the Knights of Columbus, let us use their facility, and you guys were, and you were there, and you guys were just a tremendous help. And I think we had 175 people turn out to this event, and it really, really was touching. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank all the volunteers who worked on this, because I can't think of a better project than the Julie's Jungle project. I was there talking to a gentleman, and his granddaughter has cerebral palsy. And he says, you know, we live in Fishkill. I bring her to Gehring Park. He said, it's a beautiful park, but there's nothing she can do. He says, if there's anything I can do to help Julie's Jungle get off the ground, I'm here. And actually, he's doing a little fundraiser in Fishkill. So I got to tell you, it's a great project. We look forward to allowing them to entering into agreement to use our Lime Kiln facility playground to upgrade. But Peter, I want to thank you and the Knights of Columbus and George from East Fishkill Provision, because when you have 170 people watching football and the wing fryer goes down, you know you have a big problem. So somebody called George from East Fishkill Provision. George was just closing up, and George said, "No problem, I'll fire up the fryers." And George finished frying the wings, and it was really good. George from East Fishkill Provisions is a great guy. So one thing I say is East Fishkill is blessed with good people, and these are the things that really come from it. So I want to thank you, Peter, the Knights of Columbus, and George, and just a great thing. So that's all I have to say tonight. But we do have somebody special that we would like to recognize. Dr. Fine, would you please stand up? Somebody's told us that you were going to retire. You were in retirement. You're done with your practice. You have your practice right there on Arrowhead Road, and that's where you have your office. And you're kind of like the old-time doctor. You know, you don't go to one of these where you go to a bunch of different doctors and you don't know the doctor, and you form a relationship with your doctor. And you are probably one of the few hometown doctors that we have here. So I know Peter wants to say a few words, but we did draft a certificate of recognition for your professional work, your dedication, and your devotion to the town of East Fishkill. And Peter, I don't know if you wanted to say a couple things for the doctor, and then
just a couple of things. Doc, I met back in 1987. He was very involved back then. As soon as he got here, opened up the old place, moved here in 86, opened the shop in 87. Probably about 88, 89, he joined the Rotary. I've known him all through there too, when he could make the meetings. And then in about 90, they took him away from us and sent him to a state job in the prison. He went to prison in 90. He's still there. He just recently retired. He's the only doctor I've gone to since 1987. And I now have no doctor to go to.
Uh-oh.
I did point that out to him. And he's still retired on me. But I'd like to thank him and Edna, because Edna's the one that really held down the fort. Because you called, you got her. Doc would call. Doc came to the house on many house calls. And when we'd call him for other house calls for other people, he was always there. He never let anybody down, and thanks, Doc.
Doctor, if we could, before I go out, we'll take a picture.
Yeah, we'll take a.
Peter, we're going to take a picture with the doctor as you present him with the certificate.
Hometown.
Where's a good place? That's right over here. Okay, who's taking pictures?
I am. We are all the way around.
Okay, we'll stay here, take a picture. Peter, would you like to open the certificate and hand it to Dr. Fine? And, Dr. Fine, thank you very much for everything you've done for the town.
We're about the only two left, that's why you had to close.
Okay, well, back to work. It's always nice when you do some nice things, though. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilperson Walker.
Present.
Councilperson Cassidy.
Present.
Councilperson Danke.
Present.
Councilperson Delisandro.
Present.
Supervisor Hickman.
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We've been given the minutes of the December 13, 2012 meeting. Madam Clerk, have there been any changes or additions or corrections?
No, there hasn't.
There being none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of December 13, 2012 meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now is the time on the agenda for public comments on agenda items only. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on any items on the agenda? Okay, there being none, Madam Clerk, do we have anything to receive and file for the record?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the first public hearing, the only public hearing tonight on the agenda is going to be reopening the adjourned public hearing, consider local law amending 194-75, land excavating and filling to allow for the processing on-site of materials generated by an approved subdivision or site plan. Do I have a motion to reopen the adjourned public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. The public hearing is now open. I know the board is familiar with this. We've discussed this, that this is really a law that just makes a whole lot of sense. Tom, would you like to give us just a little overview of the law quickly?
Right, as we discussed last time, as you've indicated, this would amend the zoning ordinance, specifically that part that regulates excavation of property by allowing on-site processing of material. This is only during a subdivision construction phase or site plan construction, and it would allow only the material generated from that site to be processed on the site. The hope would be that it would diminish the number of truck trips on and off the site and would lend itself to making the site more readily developed. It also provides, right now, you do not need an excavation permit for the digging out and filling in for septic areas. This would increase the exemption to include the ground underneath the structure being built if it had to be replaced because of engineering requirements. Last month, you closed the public hearing, referred it to Dutchess County Planning. They have responded saying that they have no comment and that it's a matter of local concern.
Thank you, Tom. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak for or against the local law on processing on-site of materials generated by an approved subdivision or site plan? Anybody in the audience? Anybody on the board? Any thoughts? Any questions? Our engineer cannot be with us tonight, but I know we've all discussed this matter with Scott. And any comments or thoughts?
I wanted to just be sure. When they have a site plan approval from the planning board, that's who gives the permit, the planning board.
Correct.
If they don't have a site plan they have to get this through the building department?
Well, actually, the only circumstances that really normally generate this
Would
is
only
for the
be that.
construction of a subdivision or a site plan that's approved by the planning board.
That would be it?
Yes.
Okay. So if they had if they were just wanted to excavate, say, a golf course or something? and-
Well, they would have to get site plan approval
Okay.
first, yeah.
So it'd be part of the planning
Or
board
amend an
process.
existing site plan to get that permit.
Now, Tom, isn't this mostly for, the product has to stay on site?
Correct. We just
Yeah.
had the example that I think Scott pointed out to you last time, the Mission Church on Route 52 in Stormville. They had a tremendous amount of rock that had been placed in the ground when 84 was cut through, and they had to actually truck it maybe 2 miles across the county line into Putnam. They crushed it, and then they brought it right back and placed it back on the site. So in this case, they could have brought in a portable crusher, maybe operated it for 4 or 5 days, done everything on site, and it eliminated all those truck trips and other disturbance.
But just for the people, so they know it won't be crushed and then sold off
No.
to
Correct,
another
there's a
site.
limit, there's a prohibition.
Has to stay on site.
No retail sale, it has to stay on site.
Yeah.
Just like now, with the planning board regularly grants excavation permits, if you're gonna move more than 375 cubic yards on the site, and that's all set forth in the plans, how it's being moved, this would just be laid over that.
Right. Yep.
Anybody else? Okay. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to adopt a negative declaration?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. We've adopted a neg deck. Do I have a motion to adopt local law amending 194-75 land excavation and filling to allow for the processing on-site of materials generated by an approved subdivision or site plan?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. It will be filed as a law. And then Carol, you will send, now just let me ask you, Carol, then you send this up to the state for filing?
Yes.
And then it takes 30 days or so before it actually go into effect?
It's effective on filing.
Effective on filing with the state, so, okay. So as long as it gets up there, it's filed.
Yes.
Good, thank you. All right. The first resolution of the evening is to authorize the part-time recreation assistant for the Lime Kiln Recreation Facility. We have interviewed a gentleman, Jeff Kananisha, and he resides in Stormville, in the town of East Fishkill. He's actually worked out at the facility. He's became very involved. He wanted to become, he's looking for a job. He's going to college, and he just interviewed a very nice young man. And I would like to see if we have a motion to appoint Jeff Kananisha to the part-time recreation assistant at Lime Kiln. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Opposed? Motion carried. And he will not work more than 20 hours a week. As we discussed, he will be paid $9 an hour. Resolution number 2 is to authorize the purchase of 2 police cars. We do have a memo from the chief of police requesting this. Obviously, we have a very large police force. We have a lot of cars. We do need to keep cycling them through. So he's requesting the approval for the purchase of 2 2013 Ford Interceptors. They'll come from state bid through a vendor, and the price tag along with that of each vehicle will come to $31,000. I've discussed this with the chief, and I'm fully supportive that our police needs to keep their vehicles up and running. So
Now, that's completely set up, correct?
completely set up,
It's
Painted, everything?
31,000 each, though, isn't it?
Right,
Yes.
31,000 each.
Each.
along with the setup of each vehicle, 31,000.
Each. Yep.
But that's computer, that's all the work interior and stuff, so I think it's a good deal. So do I have a motion to
So-
authorize purchase of 2 police cars?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Good. Did you,
No, no,
I'm sorry. Did you want to do that motion?
no.
No, I'm just
no,
checking.
no, no.
Okay, I do apologize, because Councilman Dickey is the liaison to the police
No,
department.
no, no, I was just,
He made it.
Okay, well, he second, yeah, he did make it, that's true, he did make the motion. Okay, number 3. Number 3 is to set the public hearing for the Echo Cottages for March 28th, 2013.
So moved.
Second?
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I'd just like to ask the town attorney one quick question. I know that we had discussed this, we had a presentation some months ago, and I believe the comments were sent to the county. Tom, did we receive the,
No, it went to the town planning board who commented.
oh, the
back
town,
to me,
okay,
right?
but we don't have
Now,
to go
part
to
of
the
this
county?
As part of this process.
Now it's go to the
town
county,
clerk will send it.
and it's got to be 30 days
They have to be given at least 30 days.
to respond, so we can't set this public hearing until the March 28th. Okay, very good, thank you very much. All right, the motion and a second. Did we vote on it?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, vote, well, just to be sure, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried, thank you. All righty, number 4 is to remove various items from the assets list. Actually, tonight, we're only going to remove one item. It's the building department's Ford Explorer. It looks like the head gasket went, and the engine is gone. It's in very serious shape, so we decided, we had a quote to fix it. It wasn't really worth fixing it, so we're going to put it out to bid. So this resolution is to adjust the fixed asset inventory to remove the Ford Explorer and authorize auction, putting out for bid. So do I have a motion to remove the Explorer and put it out to bid?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Is this going to go on the computer place, or?
Yeah, we have the guy that comes out, take a picture, he'll put it on the website. Yeah, and actually, that's been working out very well.
And do we have a replacement vehicle?
No, I've asked Captain Dowdy to take a look. Actually, after the Ford went, I think it was back in July, it blew up. It blew the head gasket. So I'd asked Captain Dowdy at that time to put in for state bid vehicles, and state has no vehicles on bid at this time. And knowing New York State, they probably won't have it for quite a while. So we've been sharing vehicles, but it's been kind of a problem. One of the things we are looking to doing is possibly, I've been discussing with the comptroller, with the attorney, going with our purchasing policy, we might have to purchase a used vehicle just to get something to keep our building department, up and running. We do have one car that they've all been sharing, and then we have the 2 Jeeps. So we're managing, but it's not easy. So we'll see what we can do. Resolution number 5 is to approve the CSEA contract for 2012-2013. We have a proposal with the CSEA union representing the non-police employees. The proposal is within the budgeted amount set for the same in 2013. Do I have a motion that the annexed memorandum of understanding is hereby accepted and approved, and that I be authorized to execute a new collective bargaining agreement for the 2012-13 agreement in accord with the next memorandum? I think everybody's discussed this with the attorney, and this is just really going to extend the contract with a few changes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Maybe you could borrow that truck from Dennis.
Well, I thought of that. When he got that truck, I said, and we'll look into it. Now he's got that, let's see if he's got anything laying around we can borrow. Good idea, good idea. Number 6 is adopt a resolution for support for New York State contact information for vacant structures. We've realized the situation with vacant structures, foreclosed houses, or just typically abandoned houses in the town of East Fishkill. Last year, actually, we did pass a law that would allow us to notify the owner, and then it takes such action as mowing the lawn, removing junk and debris from the property, and putting on the tax bill. Within the next few months, we will be actually putting out a bid for a contractor for those services. But just finding out who the owner is always a challenge. So New York State, I give them credit, the legislature and the Senate have bills passed before both of them, which would require large banks and mortgage lending institutions, when there's a change in the ownership, to notify the municipality. So we were notified by a state legislator that they needed to see if we can get a resolution to help this along. It was Michael Kearns from the 142nd District had sent out an email. So we certainly heartily support this type of legislation. Give us better information with which to go after the owners of these properties. So with that, do I have a motion to support New York State contact information for vacant structures legislation?
So moved. Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. And like I said, we will be putting out specs for bid for a contractor to be working for us in that capacity, is cleaning them up. Resolution number 7 is to authorize senior citizen staff to be hired as employees. The town previously, and this had been some time ago, had contracted with Dutchess County Association of Senior Citizens to run a senior program. When they no longer wanted to conduct the program, the town contracted with 2 of their workers to run the program on a part-time basis. In order to resolve this issue, as whether they're employees or contractors, for the IRS, the civil service, workman's comp purposes, it's recommended that they should be actually part-time employees. I do have a motion here, or a resolution here, that Sue Gartner be appointed as rec supervisor, Maria Weber be appointed as recreation leader, and Mary Miller be appointed as recreation assistant. All positions work no more than 20 hours per week, and Sue Gartner will be hired under the CSEA at level 5, Maria Weber under CSEA agreement at level 4, and Mary Miller be hired at level 3. Their hourly wages will be respectively $18.66, $17.92, and $13. These rates are reflective of the current rates, and with a slight adjustment so that they do not suffer from the act of just moving them into as town employees. So this is something that is just setting some people who do a very good job. I've been over to the community center, they do a terrific job. But to satisfy these other agencies, they do need to be brought on as part-time staff. So, with that, do I have a motion resolving the employment status of senior recreation staff?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. I do have a couple of things from the floor, and one of them is actually a correction resolution from last month. Last month, we appointed Angelina Goldsmith, who works on our tax receiver's office. She's been a part-timer. She's worked there for 5 years. She's a very good employee. She's dedicated. And last month, we had appointed her to a typist position. Well, Dutchess County personnel notified us that upon review of her job duties, she is not a typist. She is a clerk or a deputy. She would be considered either a clerk or a deputy tax receiver. So the thing to do is actually keep her as a deputy tax receiver and move her from part-time to full-time, which the county had no problem with that. So to do that, this is really a correction, because last month we had made her a typist, but upon their review, they recommend that she actually be a full-time receiver of taxes. But nothing is ever simple. So when you look at the union contract and you look at deputy receiver of taxes, unfortunately, it's a level 2, which is at the same level as the head cleaner. So I'm not sure how this ever came to be, and I do assure you that our full-time tax receiver has a lot more responsibility than our head cleaner. So with that, two things I'm going to ask the attorney in negotiations this year with the CSEA to take that and place it. I believe the appropriate level would be a level 4 position with the other clerks. But in the meantime, so as not to penalize her, if we did this, she would actually probably be making less than she's making as a part-timer. So we would actually be looking to provide her a stipend, a weekly stipend, and the weekly stipend would be approximately $68 a week, but that would put her on par with what she would be had she been in the level 4 with the other clerks and the other deputies. So it's a little convoluted, I know, but it's something that I don't know how deputy receiver of taxes got put in with the cleaners in the union contract. So with that, and again, this is a correction resolution. Do I have a motion to correct the prior resolution appointing Angelina Goldsmith as deputy tax receiver?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. And
This isn't going to interfere with the fact that we wanted to move her around, that she holds one title now.
no, she'll be fine. That's all been.
That's
yep.
provided for in the resolution.
Huh?
It's provided for in the resolution
Okay.
that she
Yeah.
be shared service
That she shared,
All right.
we
with
can
the
move her
tax
from one to
billing,
the
with
other.
the tax billing.
I mean, we're not tied that continue forever.
No,
No.
Okay,
But,
because it's a non-competitive title, so it can be
Okay.
competitive.
yeah, so we're good. Great. Thank you very much. Two other quick things from the floor. I would like to mention that we did interview Mary Seminara for a zoning board. There's an opening as an alternate on our zoning board of appeals, and we interviewed Mary Seminara, and she's interested in the job, and she gave a very good interview. And I would ask now for a resolution appointing Mary Seminara to fill out the position of the alternate to the zoning board of appeals.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And finally, we did get, may I borrow yours, Peter? We got a memo from our highway superintendent, the low bid for ice control sand. This memo states, our recent low bid from Thale Industries for ice control sand needs to be changed. The highway superintendent hauled 2 loads of ice control sand from the plant and 1 load from another plant to compare the quality of the two. Thale's sand was dirty, has a tendency to clog up our sanders, and this has happened in the past with their sand. So the highway superintendent is asking for permission from the town board to use West Hook, which would be the second lowest bidder, because they have extremely clean sand, works very well, and and not to be committed to using Thales inferior quality sand. So I think that's an appropriate request. Tom, that's in line. I mean, we do have a problem with the quality of the product, so we would like to use the second lowest bidder as request of the highway superintendent.
So we're declaring the lowest bidder in default, and then we're using the next one?
Yes, we are, because of the inferior quality, because problems with the quality of the sand.
In the bid, does it state what it has to be?
I think it's just bids, ice control sand. I think they just leave it at that, and I don't know how they process them, but there must be a difference in.
It's not specified?
I wonder if we could put some kind of specifications in it, that they must be certain, they must be dry, clean, something like that. Maybe, yeah, maybe we could look and see if we could do something like that. For
No
next
dirty
year's
sand.
bid. No dirty sand. We only
There you
want
go.
clean
That's
sand.
technical.
Well, technically, then who says how dirty sand is?
How much more is the
Depends where
clean
it comes
sand?
from.
Yeah.
But they are the second lowest bidder, but I think if it works better for our needs, I would appreciate. Do I have a motion to authorize the change to the second lowest bidder?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. I'll contact the highway superintendent tomorrow, because, I don't know, I think we're supposed to have snow or some kind of bad weather coming up this weekend.
How much more, though,
What's that, Nick?
was the two bids?
Yeah, that,
Dennis didn't give me the bid sheets. He just said they were the next lowest bid. I'd have to take a look
It
at what
wasn't,
the bid
it
specs
wasn't
were.
much.
Yeah.
It wasn't much of a difference.
I'll get,
I could call him.
yeah, if you, would you want to just put this off until we get the quotes?
No, because we have a storm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something we need to
Yeah.
do. I would check with Dennis. I should have thought to ask him for a copy of the quote sheets, but we can get the information on that. All right. With that, budget transfers, I'd ask the comptroller, are any budget transfers for this evening?
Not this evening.
Okay, no budget transfers tonight. Public comments on general town issues. Does anybody in the audience would like to speak on any general town issues? Yes, Marty, come and speak.
I had a couple of things
Okay,
I want to talk to you about.
before you get started, Marty, I spoke with Dennis about your trees.
Beg your pardon?
After we last spoke on the phone, I spoke with Dennis about your trees.
Okay.
He was gonna go out, take a look. You know, two tall locusts, aren't they? He's out there, two big locust
Yes,
trees?
they are, yeah.
Yeah, he knows them. He says he does not think they're dead, but he's gonna have
they're
this guy
dead.
check them out. He told me he didn't think so, but he's
Well,
gonna
you
look
tell
at them.
Dennis that if they fall and I get hit with one, I'm suing him and the town.
Okay,
They're dead.
okay. I'll tell Dennis they're dead.
I want to direct first I want to say, I know Sue Gardner very well from the senior, and you couldn't have picked a better person to fill that
She
position.
does a great job.
I want to direct this to our illustrious town attorney, I guess. In back of the memorial field, that big house that I
Yes.
believe was a historical house. How did they get the permission to knock that house down?
It's not, it was, the town has no prohibition or any regulations with respect to historic structures. So that building was studied, and it's part of a, historic, part of the
Listing,
history of East
yeah.
Fishkill and of the Hopewell Hamlet.
Yeah.
There's no prohibition against or any regulation with respect to historic structures. So he applied for a demolition permit as you would for any other building, and as I understand it, it was granted.
They
And
could
believe me,
Remember
none of us are
knockdown, I
happy with that, Marty. We did ask the town planner to look into crafting a law to prohibit that. But unfortunately, what you see in situations like that, the property owner just lets the house go to heck. And then it does get to a point where it's a dangerous structure, and it's a tough one.
Well, how about all those historical houses down on, going towards where the Geeks place is, all those houses there, they're all historical?
Yeah, down there on,
And no one is
Railroad
doing any work
Avenue.
on those or anything?
No, the property owners there seem to like to take care of them. Unfortunately, the person that had owned that property, did not seem to want to take care of a really, really nice historic house. And I agree with you, we all feel very bad about him. Unfortunately, that's what happens when they just let him go. And then, you know, I can't say purposely, when somebody doesn't maintain them and they get to a point, but feel just about it as you do. It's a terrible thing.
Sorry to hear that. I thought we had some control of some things in this town.
It's a tough one when you tell a property owner he has to fix the house, you know, it gets, actually, that's what the law gets into that we're looking at for the historic preservation of historic structures.
Just interested in seeing what type of a shopping center or something that's gonna go up on all that property. Or housing development or whatever.
I think
a
it
large
certainly
piece
is
of
not my
property.
choice of what would be there.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Sure, Marty. Anybody else have anything to discuss under public comments on general town issues? Okay, there being none, next week, the DEC is going to be meeting, a week from tonight, the DEC is going to be here. We're going to meet with the residents of the Route 52 corridor where the salt contamination had occurred over the last couple decades ago from the Taconic Parkway salt shed or lack thereof. We're going to be meeting with DEC, we're meeting with the people in that area, and DEC will do a short presentation, and then they're going to be looking for comments from the public, and I know that letters are being sent out by DEC to the people in that affected area. So that will be next Thursday at 7 o'clock. Next workshop meeting will be February 7th, and then the next regular meeting will be February 28th.
Well, John, those trees that I'm mentioning,
Yeah,
there was one there that actually snapped in half.
okay.
It's laying on the ground there.
Okay, I'll tell Dennis, I'll give Dennis a call in the morning. After we'd last spoken on the phone, Marty, I think we spoke on the phone or you stopped in, I called him right then. And he said he knew the trees, but I will have him go out and see if he took a look or sent the tree crew out to take a look.
I'm gonna ring my daughter.
Okay. All right. Is there any comments from the board?
I had a question about that memorandum from the CSEA. They said that there's a labor management committee that meets once a month.
That's a proposed committee that's going to meet. Will
Do
be
they
two
meet-
representatives.
Oh, do they meet now, or that's
No.
proposed to be?
It's proposed.
No, in the new contract, we're going to provide for that. It's 2 blue collar, 2 white collar, and 2 managerial representatives. And it just be for a period of the next 10 months. And the purpose of that is to discuss some of the issues that are not necessarily, they're not connected with wages or things like that, but more procedures for posting of jobs, classification of jobs, to try to resolve some of the issues.
So everybody understands.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, I think I don't know if we mentioned that it's a 2-year contract. For 2012, there's no wage increase, it's 0.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
for
Everybody, yeah.
2013, it's 2%.
It's in the memo.
Yeah, I saw that.
2%, just like everybody else getting, and nothing for 2012. So. All right.
One other thing, we started this week, the court officers and with the metal detector, and we had DA day today, and it was very busy as always, and the system worked very, very well. Doug Lucy and Roland Wright were outside, and I talked to them for a while, and it worked pretty flawlessly.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah,
a good improvement.
Yeah, they've done a great job of putting this together, and we were always concerned there's going to be backup. But
No.
everybody moves right through, the hallway isn't backed up, and it seemed to be working very well.
It's like they said, that people come in and they expect that,
Yeah.
so they have things ready, and so it's running really, really well.
Only a few people they've had send back out.
With cell phones,
Yeah, yeah. Good point, Bill. Good point. All right, if there's no other comments, do I have a motion to adjourn the town board meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion